power.
Hello and welcome, guys, and welcome to Santa María Tlalixtac in the Cañada region of Oaxaca, where Alambique Serrano is made. So we made our trek here. We started early, around 7 a.m. today. Right now it is 1:52 and we just got here. Just an absolutely insane drive up here, like those kinds of drives. Let me just show you. So we're about like 2.5 hours away from Cañada. We've been climbing a mountain. We climbed over 9,000 feet apparently in the last 40 minutes of insanely beautiful scenery as we're climbing up. And then there's construction being done in the road, so we just kind of stopped and we're kind of stuck here until they're done. We're not exactly sure how long it's going to take, but it's all part of the experience. And not only is the drive beautiful, but it's just a clear example of the microclimates of Oaxaca. 5 minutes we're driving and it's pine trees. 5 minutes later, it's like nopal, it's like cactus and desert. And then it's like waterfalls around the road. It's just insane. It's hard to explain sometimes the microclimates of Oaxaca, and that I'm not exaggerating when we say that there is, from one town to the other, completely different climates and completely different vegetation and completely different agaves. And in this case, of course, there's sugarcane. There's no agaves here. This place is like one of those places that, you get in, you drive in, and your brain takes a while to register the beauty that's around you. It's insane. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. I've heard from multiple people, including Jason, who, is the owner of Alambique Serrano, from Max Reese, from Irate, how incredible this place is. And honestly, none of that did it justice. Seeing in person is something else. But anyway, we're going to spend a little bit more than 24 hours with the Casso family that's here making rum, aguardiente, and the brand Alambique Serrano. And in all honesty, one of the most special spirits I've had in quite a while. Everything that I've been having from them just blows my mind. It's insane. Their story is really cool too. Their grandfather came to this area, came to Mexico in around 1918 from Germany. That's why his last name is Casso, right? Landed in Veracruz, did some odd jobs, coffee farms, sugarcane farms, and just kind of started hopping around from village to village in this very remote area. It's a remote area now, so I can imagine back in the 1900s, 1918. But then he found this place where we're at, Santa María Tlalixtac, and he settled here. He met somebody, he married his wife, and he then started making panela, right? Which is like that hardened sugar cane. They also call piloncillo in other parts of Mexico. And then he started finally distilling, but distilling in ways that he knew how, and getting parts of cars and whatever he could find to make stills. And 3 generations later, they're making Alambique Serrano. So anyway, now we just got here. You're going to see how they're harvesting sugarcane. You're going to see some of the distillery. I'm going to show you guys, take you guys around everywhere we're here. So as we got to one of their properties where they're growing sugarcane, one of the 4 brothers welcomed us in. This is Axel Casso. In our group, we had Carlos, who's the brand manager of Cinco Sentidos and Alambique Serrano. Jason Cox, who's the owner of the brands. We also had Luis, who also works with both brands. And then we had Adam, who owns Off-Premise, a shop in Chicago. Max, who's one of the owners of Neta, and of course Nico, who owns PM Spirits. Just such an awesome group. When we got there, they were already harvesting some sugarcane, and some of us, not me, hiked up to see it up close. Listen, I have really bad knees, which is going to come up again on this trip, and my knees were killing me this trip. So I also grew up around sugarcane farms in Brazil. I've seen this multiple times. I let them do the hike up. Adam is over there filming me. I don't know if you can see him all the way up there, but they're making fun of me, which is always awesome. Then one of the other Casso brothers, this is Isidoro Casso, gathered some sugarcane for us, and they wanted to show how they juice the sugarcane
for fermentation. This trapiche here, or a mill, it actually travels around with them. They always juice the sugarcane where they harvest it. The sugarcane is squeezed and juiced, and as the juice runs down the mill, it gets strained a little bit, and then it travels down by gravity to plastic tubs where the juice starts to ferment. There is so much sugar here that sometimes fermentation begins almost immediately, but the tubs are then trucked down to the distillery where they'll spend some time either stainless steel, wood, or even underground.
So that was the sugarcane part of it and the harvesting. Just a little quick demonstration of how it works. Now, whoa, I'm not gonna fall here. We're heading over to the truck, and then we're gonna go to the actual distillery and try all the barrels that they have there waiting for us. Can't wait for that. Of course, see how it distills and their whole process, and some stills that are pretty unique to them. So guys, after a short 5-minute ride, we are at a distillery. This place is just absolutely amazing. Like, this place is crazy. There are butterflies flying everywhere. There's a river next to me. There's a distillery on the other side. We're in the middle of this canyon. It's a rainforest. It's like 80% humidity. It's fucking awesome. Yeah, now we're gonna taste some stuff, see the production, but the amount of butterflies, and just look at this place. So this is their fermentation room. These right here that are all pine tree wood, these are all for the pot stills that they have. So all the fermentation happens all in wood, all in pine wood, open air fermentation, with the addition of vinazas, which is the first time I've ever heard this. So they actually reserve some of the vinazas during the distillation process, and they add 150 liters of the vinaza to each of these tinas, these fermentation tanks, and then they add in the sugarcane juice to ferment that. The vinaza will bring in some aroma, some taste, and help activate the fermentation. I actually tried some of the vinaza by itself. I spit it out, of course, but it was awesome to try, and I've never heard of that. I never heard of them using vinaza in the fermentation, but that's a process that his grandpa and his dad used to make, and they've been doing for a while as well. It's pretty cool. So now we are in the fermentation area that's in stainless steel that is used for the column steel, like I keep talking about, right? So the fermentation here usually takes 5 to 7 days. They say it's depending on the weather, of course, the temperature. A different thing that I haven't heard about and that they do here is that don't just fill a whole tank and then fill the other tank. They just see how they go. So they go 100 liters, 100 liters, 100 liters, let it sit for a while, then add another 200 liters. So it's an even size for every single fermentation tank. And then they regulate it throughout the day. So if it's época de calor, so the summer, I guess, when it's really hot, they can add some water to it as well. They want to keep the fermentation around 80 to 82 degrees. So if it gets a little too hot, they add some water to just control the temperature. And then 5 to 7 days, it should be ready. And then it is then taken to the distillation area where they're going to distill in the Casso still. We asked them if they use anything else, like bark or fruits or anything like that during the fermentation, and no, they just use sugarcane. Sometimes they might use some old dry sugarcane in the fermentation as well. But just looking around here, there's all guava trees, lemon trees, lime trees, and palm trees, and it's just such a lush green area that I'm sure all that also imparts a flavor on such a fruity rum that they can produce. This hut here right behind me, they just built this. They said about 5 days ago. And let me show you what's inside this place. They're fermenting the sugarcane underground, and they were telling us that this is how they used to make the pache here in the area. They would put it in 60-liter jugs the actual tepache, right? Like made with the pineapple. And then they'll bury it to slow down the fermentation. That's kind of what they're doing here, experimenting with this kind of fermentation. The whole hut is covered in spent sugarcane fibers, and it's literally a hole on the ground. And we got to try that. It was like, honestly, it tasted like tepache. And that same batch is also being fermented in stainless steel. So we get to see a side by side of how the fermentation changes from stainless steel to under the ground. And then finally see the still as well. So guys, now we are in the distillation area with the pot stills, the copper pot stills. So whatever we saw in the fermentation tanks that was in wood is being fermented here. One of the differences here is that it's not firewood. They use propane gas that is hooked up to these stills right here behind me. I believe there's 3 that are 300 and 2 that are 250. And then, same kind of distillation process we talk about all the time when it comes to agave. The juice is boiled, the vapor goes up, passes through this pipe right here, through the condenser, falls into these tanks right here that have cold water in them. And they have coils that then condenses, turns into liquid, falls into as first the ordinario. The cut is around 30 ABV with the ordinario. And then the second distillation, they run and pick you up to 70, 60, 55, depending on what cut they want to do. Right now we have 2 active distillations happening. One is distilling at 70 and one is distilling at 60. We got to try them and they're just absolutely incredible. Like this watermelon, cucumber, pineapple taste that it's nuts. It's incredible. Anyway, now, so this is the pot still. One of the things that I've been dying to see here is the Casso still, which is a still that they built. It's a column still where they distill the fermentation that's in stainless steel. We're going to go there right now and see that. All right, guys, stay here with me for a little bit, okay? Because this is shit is crazy.
So meet the Casso still, guys. This wonder right here is essentially a home-built Armagnac still. You know, the Casso still is something that you need to see in person to grasp the magnitude of what they've built. So the fermented sugar travels down these pipes that you see here, and it goes into this tank. This tank here then feeds the stop of the still. You see another tank right there, right? The juice then travels to the still that gets full, and then the juice is moved to the other still that you see here, where the liquid is boiled. This is essentially like a column still, if you will. Alcohol has a much lower boiling point than water, right? So the alcohol vapors travel up, hitting each of the plates, and the vapors rise plate by plate and travel to these pipes, then move over to the other still again, where that's a coil that goes down the still where the vapor condenses, travels down all those coils and falls back down. And finally, we get the liquid coming here, which is one of the best rums in the world, I think. Again, this is something that's so hard to explain without you being there, but it is
just mind-blowing stuff, guys. Such a trip that this guy came from Germany, married into the village, and then created this thing where now, they're 3-4 generations in using the same technology. The Casso still that we just saw is about 21 years old, they said. The first one was created by their grandparents in 1938-ish. And then his dad made one, and now they made one too. Anyway, I love seeing that kind of stuff. Now we're heading over to the river where there's a cave. We're going to try some rum because that's where they age their rum. And then the Casso still just started distilling right now. So it's just the first heads that you're not supposed to be drinking, just unlike mezcal, right? And then we're going to come back later and try what's coming out of that still that I can't wait for. You ready for the most epic entrance to a aging cave you've ever seen in your life? Check this out.
Get it? Get it? Power. Get it?
Pirate's treasure.
Very much feels
Yes,
that.
seriously, I feel like I'm in Indiana Jones.
I know. I've never seen anything like this. This is
100% humidity here.
what's the angel shirt look like? Okay. I honestly don't even know what to say. This is like blowing my mind right now. Yeah, this is insane. So there's this mini cave next to the riverbed, and they have 4 barrels here that are aging. You know, they can fill these barrels 4 or 5 times, they said, full of whiskey barrels. I think they said some French oak here too. Yes, if you're asking, the river can get through here, but as I'll show you, the barrels are lifted, so far the water hasn't touched the barrels yet, but it's 100% humidity in here, so that changes things. There's a crazy skylight on top of this barrel, so if it's raining, you know, the water is falling in here. It's wild. This is insane. I don't know if I told you guys how special this fucking day is. Yeah, vámonos. But down to we're going to try more rum, but this time on their tasting room.
By the time we made it back to the distillery, the Casso still was producing some of the rum. So, of course, we got to sample some straight of the still. One of my favorite things to do when you're at a distillery. Then we sat down in their aging room at the distillery. We got to try quite a few different barrels from cognac, American whiskey, all of them so special. I mean, this time we just got to sit down and hang out with them for a little bit and talk about their history, how they're aging it, and the different barrels that they're using.
Time to head to the city, the town. Have some dinner, and then you know, we're gonna sample some more stuff with them at their house later on. So see you guys over there.
After we finally got to town, we had dinner, we freshened up a little bit in a somewhat what you'd call a hotel. And then we went to the Casso family house. This is where we got to sample even more rum from different areas that they aged it in. So we tried it from the distillery. They have different caves around the area that they were aging it in, so we got to try that. They also have an aging room around the city of Oaxaca. Nico brought us some cigars as well, which was just such an awesome treat and a perfect pairing with some of the Alambique Serranos we were having. This is also where me and Adam got to pick our single barrel with Alambique Serrano that you can get from off premise. It's called the Pão de Queijo and Bolillo, and it is an incredible rum that I honestly, if you want to try anything from Alambique Serrano, of course, all of their expressions are amazing, but we love this barrel, and again, you can get it on their website. After this, we called it a day, which is one of the best days ever, but also a very long day, right? And then the next day, we're up early with no water in our rooms, so that was interesting. But we really got to bond on this trip, you know? We got to see the town before it woke up, and we got to listen to the morning announcements.
Se le sigue haciendo la invitación a toda la población en general, muy en especial a usted, señora ama de casa. Si desea usted comprar carne fresquecita de puerco, ya se encuentra a la venta a partir de estos momentos atrás de la escuela primaria con el señor Adelfo Suárez Avendaño.
This is how Santa María Tlalixtac announces to the people that are here if there's bread, milk, or food in one of the shops or the restaurants. We had an amazing breakfast here and went over to another hike before heading to Oaxaca, a hike that turned out to be absolutely incredible. And I feel like I keep saying this over and over and over again on this video, but that's just the one word that I can keep thinking about of how incredible this trip was. But again, remember, I have bad knees, so.
Nothing like a early morning hike in the Cañada region of Oaxaca. And we're gonna go pretty high up, apparently. I gotta talk to the camera anyway, so I'm fine being behind. I gotta admit defeat, but the way my knee's set up and how slippery this is, I don't think I'm going to be able to do the hike all the way up there, which sucks. I need to get that situated. But this place is incredible. And even in a 15-minute hike, still worth the view. But sorry, guys, I'm not going to make it up there. And to be honest, guys, like, it does suck. I didn't get to go because of my knees. But it was cool to just sit here for like an hour and a half and take in the scenery, take in this trip. Everything that I saw, it feels like I've been here for like 3 months when I just kind of like break down everywhere that I went, everybody that I met. You know, it wasn't that long ago they were doing a tapada and a destapada on the same day. And then visiting the Cinco Sentidos producers, and going to Santa Catarina Barradas, which that already was like an insane place, just insane beauty. But then to come here to Cañada, this place that's so remote, and see this way of life. I've been very privileged to be able to spend a lot of time in Mexico, either for work or for family with Michelle's parents, and gone to very small towns and gotten to see a side of Mexico that I think a lot of people don't get to experience this. And I want to say that I never take that for granted at all. That's never. I understand how special that is and how much of a privilege it is that I get to do these things and go back to the U.S. when I want to. So I don't know if this helps you in any way see this part of Mexico and connect in any way too. That's the most special thing I think that can come out of these videos. But so I'm going to say thank you for everybody that made this special, that made this possible, but also thank you to everybody that's watching. Life is a trip. I keep saying that because life is a trip. Anyway, thank you so much.
Ripped until I find my. It is what it is. I focus on my. Now run the track. Run the track.
You're gonna come back and just tell me
These people were so nice, man. This village over there.
Get it.